Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Pac-Man figure, which I'm sure most people are interested in solely for their Smash Brothers collections. And I'm here to tell you it's a pretty decent release, and if you're looking for something that'll fill that gap, this is a good choice. I'm just going to put that right out there, but there is some stuff to talk about. Obviously, this is an articulated figure, and it's a ball with arms and legs. So how did they make that work? Is it any good? There's plenty to talk about. So we're going to do all of that. I will say, I think they've learned from their Pikachu release and from their Mario and Luigi release in that they had to figure out a way to get articulation into something that does not necessarily lend itself to articulation. So we'll see if what they've learned was actually implemented properly. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 4 inches tall, which makes him pretty close to, let's just say 10 centimeters, right around there. I don't have him adjusted perfectly to be as tall as he could possibly be with his legs perfectly straight, but that'll get the job done. You know how tall he is roughly. And I don't have my Mario on hand. I told you guys I just finished moving all of my stuff back to this house, so I don't have Mario to compare it to, but it is in scale. I do know that it's close enough. My buddy has it and he showed it to me, so it'll be fine. If you're doing it for a Smash Brothers collection, you should be just fine. It may not be perfect, but Smash already skews the sizes on a lot of characters anyway, so no worries there. Okay, so now, question of the day before we get into the meat and taters of the review. If you're interested in this figure, or if you already ordered it, why? Is it for your Smash Brothers collection, or did you just want Pac-Man? I'm very curious how many of you out there are trying to build out a Smash roster, and how many of you just want like classic video game characters or something like that. For me, it's 100% Smash. I love Smash Brothers, and I want to build out that roster. Okay, alright, let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic on this guy. Pac-Man, very known for his detail. He's a very intricate character design. No, of course I'm joking. He's a yellow ball with arms and legs, and that is what this is. I don't think they could have done much better as far as the aesthetics go. There's no shading to apply. It's just a yellow sphere. That's fine. The paintwork that's on there is very clean. No issues there. We actually do have some separate molded parts so that they didn't have to do as much painting as you might think, which is better because you can't have messed up paint if it's actually just two different molded pieces of plastic. So that's very nice. I do like that the finish is more of like it's somewhere between matte and satin, closer to matte though for most of the figure, but then we get a very matte finish for the gloves here, so that's cool. And the boots are somewhere in between those two again, so there is, considering how simple he is, a good variety of finish, which makes a figure stand out on a shelf. You don't want it to just look like a solid chunk of plastic, or at least multiple chunks of plastic, so I do like that. So yeah, I think that's fine. And I'm going to include the articulation in the aesthetic portion just a little bit, because how they achieve that is going to be important. And I will say, at least from the legs up, I have no complaints. They couldn't do any better. They have to have articulation, they have to have joints, and they achieved that perfectly. From the legs down, it's a little bit more kibbly, it's a little bit more ugly, but since I had to actually show that to you for it to be an issue, you can't see it from the front, you can from the back, but why would you be looking at the back? Don't be weird. I think that's fine. I think what they've done as far as hiding the articulation as well as they have works enough to achieve the aesthetic that they are going for, and I'm happy with that. Again, remember, this is a Figuarts figure, so articulation is a necessary component, and I think they've done an acceptable job of hiding it as best as they can. And we'll talk about the articulation a little bit more as we go forward, but that's it for the aesthetic, and I'm going to give it an aesthetic rating of 8 out of 10, honestly. Like, it's just a ball, so I'm not looking for anything that's not there. They made it look right, so it gets a high rating. It's simple, but it's supposed to be, so that's fine. Now, as far as accessories go, we do have an alternate face. We have the big open mouth smiley face on him in the package. Then we do get the winking face as an alternate part. You basically pull his whole body in half and then swap out the whole head, or the whole face part, so that's fine. Equally well executed, so that's good. Alternate hands, we have the fist hands that come on in the package. We get one thumb up hand, and then we get the open high five, karate chop, smack on the whatever hands. So you get some alternate hands, that's pretty cool. And then we do get his cherries. That's probably not the way I should have worded that. And a red ghost. Both of those are executed nicely with the pixel paint job on there. Very cool. No display stand or anything, though. Those two pieces do require one, technically speaking. And he does have a port, shall we say, in his nethers for a display stand. So it's a little bit of a bummer that we don't have that, but not ultimately necessary. I would say I'd prefer a few more accessories, honestly, like the key or any of the things that are in Smash, which are also in the source material game. It would have been nice to have a few more of those accessories, but I understand that we don't need them, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. That's plenty. Alternate hands and a face is great as it is, so that's pretty cool. And then before we get into the articulation, I do want to comment just on his port. Again, we're going to keep calling it that. I would have much preferred that be back here. I think having it so close to the crotch, to the area between his legs, is going to impede posing more than it needed to, because no one's looking at the back anyway, and if you could have just pegged it in back here, it would have helped, practically speaking. But again, that's not a particularly big deal. I don't think too many people are going to be putting a stand there anyway. Okay, so as far as articulation goes on the head, it does rotate. I had to make that joke, because see, I'm moving the whole figure because he's a head. Okay, so for the shoulders, though, we do have your standard ball hinge. They're a little stiff, but I don't think anything's going to break or anything like that. But you do see, if you look at the joint closely, as I rotate it, you see some pressure and splittage on that actual two-part ball. But nothing feels like it's going to break. Like, it's not actually stuck at all. So that's fine. You get your full rotation. You get your hinge. You get your bicep swivel there. That's okay. The elbow is another joint, another single joint, which gives you a little bit less than 90, or, well, it might, yeah, it's a little bit less, but again, that'll be fine. It's Pac-Man, that's all right. For the wrists, we just have a single ball peg, and this is something that's gonna be a bit of a problem for me. I wouldn't mind it, functionally speaking, but the hands pop off really easily. It's not like they're gonna fall off or anything, but they are very loose, so it's a little finicky. It shouldn't be a problem, but for those of you who are ham-handed and break everything you collect, you're gonna be knocking the hands off a lot. So just be careful. They are, like, they're not floppy, but it takes almost no effort to move them. So it's just gonna be a nuisance. It's not really a big deal. And I think that might be, yeah, they used palm. It looks like palm as a socket, and this is probably palm as well. I don't think it's nylon. So I don't think they needed to be that loose, but it's fine. Like, they don't fall off, so it's okay. No big deal. Just letting you know. You may encounter some looseness on the wrists. Like that. I'm trying to move his arm and his hand pops off. A nuisance, but not a real problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the hips. They slide, which is a really cool idea. I'm not sure if they could have done any better. I'm pretty pleased with it. There are a lot of layers. We have this outer disc layer that kind of hides some, and then we have that inner layer, and then we have another inner layer. It does get to be a bit much. Luckily, I don't think too many people are going to be leaning him all the way back and looking at his nethers. It shouldn't, like, I don't see much of a point in doing that. No matter how you want to pose him, why would you be looking at him like that? So I think it's fine either way. Once you bring his legs forward, you don't see any of that, and I like it. I think the only complaint, or not complaint really, but suggestion I would have, or alternate idea, to be more specific, is this disc closest to his hip itself, to the leg, make that a little bit bigger, so that his leg doesn't have to go all the way forward to hide the gap. If that was bigger, or maybe if somehow the outer part was bigger, just to hide more. That's all. Or maybe make this a little bit longer and tuck it in somewhere. I don't know. You know, just finagle it a little bit more, but hardly a serious issue because it is just a ball with moving parts. But as you can see, you get plenty of range on the leg. Let me zoom out so you can see a little better. Plenty of range like that. That's fine. And then, of course, you do have the hinge part as well. So you can kind of do whatever you want with that. And it should be enough. You can rotate that also if you wanted to bring it out to the side. Put him in like a martial arts pose of sorts. I don't know how well that's going to work. But you could technically do that, bring the leg out to the side by rotating this piece. It's going to look a little bit weird and disjointed because of the offset of the hip joint. But what else are you going to do? It's a Pac-Man figure. So again, these are sacrifices. I don't know that they could do any better. For the knee, it's actually part of the top of the boot. And it could look better, but it could look way worse. So again, I think that's fine. It's acceptable. This is a very strange figure, and I'm sure when they came up with the idea to make this, the design team was like, crap, how are we going to make that? and I think they've done a pretty good job figuring it out. You do also get rotation out of that if you need it. I mean, it's mostly going to be for like style posing. There's not a whole lot you can do really, but if you want to, you do get rotation out of that knee, so that's pretty cool. And then lastly, for the ankle, you have a big old ball hinge in there with a big cavity, so technically you have tons of range, but also you don't have that much because it's just a big poofy foot, a poofy shoe. So it looks like you're going to get a ton. You're not really getting a ton. It'll be enough, and that's that. It's like, again, what were they going to do? Not a whole lot you can do when your shoe is that big. That's just the way it goes. So, final verdict on the articulation for this guy. If it was like a Street Fighter figure, I would be thinking it's not enough. But it's Pac-Man. So, yeah, I don't think they could have done much better. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's good. Could it be better? Technically, probably, but not by a whole lot. I don't know how else to rate that because it's a ball with arms and legs. So, okay, final verdict on this release. Deceptively simple design. Would be fine if it was a 2D image, even a 3D image, but turning it into an articulated action figure probably wasn't the easiest thing to do, and I think this is by far their most successful weird character design to articulate. We had definite issues with Pikachu, definite issues with Mario, though Mario worked out pretty well. Couldn't rotate his head, things like that, but as far as a ball with limbs, this is a good job. I can't complain. If you were buying this figure to be a Pac-Man figure, which I'm assuming you were, you'll be happy. I'm going to give this guy a final verdict of 8 out of 10. It's basic, but they did what they were supposed to do with it. You can't fault them for making it source accurate, and they articulated the crap out of it considering what it is. Is it like super impressive? No, but it was never gonna be. It was impossible to do that. So it's fine. I'm very pleased with it, and I think you guys will be too. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have videos almost every single day when I'm uploading normally, which I'm gonna get back to doing very soon. And if I don't upload something, though, I do have thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you check out all of those. Make sure you come back for all of that good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.